Good evening, everyone. Under the provisions of the Public Meetings Law of the State of Missouri, the board must adopt by roll call vote an agenda that includes the time, date, place, and tentative agenda for the meeting. A copy of the notice and agenda for the meeting was posted on Monday, November 12th, 2018 at the Administration Center, 8855 Dunn Road, Hazelwood, Missouri. At the same time, copies of the notice and agenda were mailed to major radio and television stations, to 3 newspapers, to all municipalities, schools in the district, and posted on the district website. May I please have a recommendation to adopt the agenda as posted?
So recommended.
Connie, can you call for the vote?
Mr. Ebert? Aye. Mrs. Salter?
Aye.
Mrs. Ponder? Aye. Secretary votes aye. Dr. Chabot? Mrs. Chabot, all right. Long day, Dr. Grace.
Aye. All right, we will start with recognitions.
So Dr. Bland is up, right? And is going to recognize the Combs fourth grader, who is a weather kid of the week.
So would Ms. Oglesby and Camden come up at this time? I thought I looked at yes. The board would like to recognize Camden Cordy, a fourth grade student at Combs Elementary, for his selection by KPLR 11 as their Weather Kid of the Week. He was selected Weather Kid of the Week for the week of November 2nd, 2018. Camden had the opportunity to talk with meteorologist John Fuller on camera about his interest in weather science. Congratulations, Camden. And can we have his parents come up, please, at this time? All right. And can we give Mom a round of applause also?
Dr. Hazel will come up and present our McClure student, who is now a published author.
Yes, she is. So I'd like to invite Kalia Booker to the front. Yes. The board is pleased to recognize McClure High School student Kalia Booker. Kalia's an author. Her book, Of a Man, was published recently, and Miss Booker held an author talk and book signing at McClure on October 30th. During the talk, Kalia discussed her writing process. Kalia Booker is a great example of the talented students in Ferguson-Florissant School District. Congratulations on publishing your work. If her parents would like to join us, I think Mom and Dad are here, right? Yes, come on up. Thank you for sharing Kalia with us. And her principal, Mr. Gerald, and the staff at McClure, thank you for supporting her talent. And her little brother's here too. Probably a budding author himself, right? Congratulations. Nice work. So cute.
And Ms. Bess will now present our district vocalists selected for the 2018 St. Louis Suburban Honor Choir Festival.
Good evening. Students from all 3 district high schools auditioned and were selected for the 2018 St. Louis Suburban Honor Choir Festival on November 3rd. Students auditioned by testing their sight singing abilities and sang a vocal solo for a judge. The audition prepares students for the interview situations while allowing them to showcase their skills in music. The honor choir gives the students an opportunity to sing with students from all over the St. Louis area, as well as working with collegiate choral directors. The difficulty of the music selected for the honors choir exposes students to new music that requires them to use their skills they use in class. At this time, we would ask our district vocalist, as their name is called, to join our board president and superintendent on stage. McClure Senior, Courtney Brown. McClure Senior, Alexis Clinton. McClure North freshman, Amber Chu. Another fellow freshman at McClure North, Jasmine Ray. Junior at McClure North, Cassandra Childry, who may not be able to make it tonight. Sophomore at McClure North, Genesis Jones. Junior at McClure North, Ahmad Latchison. Also junior at McClure North, Michaela Parson. Sophomore at McClure North, Chase Pittman, who may not be in attendance this evening, but we would like to recognize him. And from McClure South Berkeley, senior Antoinette Neal. And another senior from McClure South Berkeley, Yasiria Tenen. Alexis Clinton, Genesis Jones, Ahmad Latchison, Michaela Parson, Chase Pittman, and Antoinette Neal are all second-time members. Congratulations.
No, I can't sing. No.
All right, Dr. Kitson, you're up.
All right, good evening. The First Baptist Church of Chesterfield embarks every year on their Told Touches of Love Delivered outreach ministry to deliver Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday baskets to families near and around the St. Louis area. The baskets contain items for families to serve a full holiday meal, along with enough items for families to eat for several days throughout the holiday season. For over 10 years, the First Baptist Church has partnered with the Ferguson-Florissant School District to deliver items for many families in the district. This year, the church delivered a total of 347 baskets in the entire area and 50 baskets in our school district alone. Families from the following 4 schools received baskets: McClure South Berkeley, Holman, Halls Ferry, Bermuda Elementary. Thank you so much for your continued partnership with the Ferguson-Florissant School District and serving so many of our families in our district. And I believe there's someone here. Recognized and appreciated. Thank you.
Just wanted to say, Dr. Thurman is excused for this meeting tonight. She's just going through a few medical things right now, so please keep her family and her in your prayers, please. All right, each month, the communications team presents a short video of district highlights and successes. We will now have FSD shared images of success.
Students, teachers, and staff all across the Ferguson-Florissant School District are experiencing success. At the beginning of the school year, Superintendent Dr. Joseph Davis issued the Walk to Japan initiative to all district staff. From Monday, September 7th through Friday, September 28th, wellness coaches from each school in the district charged their building staff to participate and record the number of steps they would take in a day. Griffith Elementary was named the 2018 Walking Challenge Champions for averaging a little over 150,000 steps per person. Patrick Johnson at Walnut Grove was named the 2018 Walking Challenge Top Stepper for walking just under 300,000 steps. From walking and running to biking, our staff was able to track each one, which resulted over 26 million steps. These were enough steps to walk to Tokyo, Japan, and back to Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
And it's very important. Education is the key, y'all. Education is the key. But another important aspect is teamwork and cohesiveness, coming together as a people.
On Wednesday, November 28th, the Fellows of the My Brother's Keeper Mentoring Program, consisting of students from McClure South Berkeley, McClure High School, and McClure North High School, met with Missouri State Representative of the 78th District, Bruce Franks Jr. Students had the opportunity to hear an encouraging presentation about Frank's journey in becoming a state representative, the challenges he faced along the way, and tasked the students in the program to empower, strengthen, educate, and encourage each other in all that they do. Airport Elementary has expanded their first Lego League after-school program with the funding grant from Bayer. It combines technology and fun while students learn to apply science, technology, engineering, and math concepts with a great deal of imagination to solve real-world problems. Students develop critical thinking and team-building skills, basic STEM applications, and even presentation skills as they must present their solution with creativity to judges. This is just one of the many ways that our scholars are preparing for an ever-changing world. Congratulations to Carlton Dunning, a student at Ferguson Middle School, who is one of the area's latest recipients of the Do the Right Thing Award. Carlton was recognized for his exemplary behavior and serving as a role model for his peers. Do the Right Thing is sponsored by St. Louis City and County Police Departments. McClure High School seniors Aaliyah Mills, Santia Medeiros, Maria Lawrence, and Matt Skis have original artwork in the current Young Artists and Their Teachers exhibition in the Boyle Family Gallery at Lindenwood University. Each participating school was required to have their art teacher enter the show as well. Instructor Michelle Pesarena also has a piece in the exhibition. The exhibition will be on display through December 10th. McClure High School has had student work in this annual show since 2005. You can learn more about these stories and other examples of the great learning happening in our district on our website and on social media.
Thank you. This portion of the meeting is allocated to show a short video from the Missouri School Board of Association to provide a report of current activities and events that may be of interest to board members and the community. We will now have the MSBA update.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report for the month of December. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the State Board of Education's decision to rehire Dr. Margie Van Dieven as Missouri's Commissioner of Education. It was about a year ago that Dr. Van Dieven was removed as Commissioner of Education by members of the State Board of Education appointed by former Governor Eric Greitens. Following the removal of Van Dieven, Dr. Roger Dorson was appointed interim commissioner and has served in that capacity for the past year. The move by Greitens to orchestrate the removal of a commissioner of education was unprecedented and called into question the political independence of the State Board of Education. The move outraged many legislators. The Greitens appointees were never confirmed by the state Senate and could not continue to serve. Because of the lack of a quorum, the state board was not able to function for several months until Governor Mike Parson made new appointments to the board following the resignation of Eric Greitens as governor. The reconstituted State Board of Education reopened the process for hiring a permanent commissioner, and following interviews with 4 finalists for the position last month, rehired Dr. Van Dieven as commissioner. During a recent telephone conference call, State Board President Charlie Shields talked about what the board was looking for in a new permanent commissioner.
I think what the board looked at was the ability to continue to make progress and move our state forward in terms of education. We knew very well that in our time with Commissioner Van Dieven, 4 of us were around when we selected her the previous time. We knew that what she could do and how you bring the education community together, work with the governor's office, work with the legislature to advance education in the state. And that we were confident that that same kind of work would continue into the future. There are a lot of challenges that we face in education in our state, and the ability to have somebody who already has experience in the role, can hit the ground running, I think was important, and that's one of the reasons that we selected Commissioner Van Dieven.
Van Dieven explained during the conference call why she's looking forward to returning as commissioner.
There's still work to be done. And while I'm very happy in my current position, I am drawn to public service, particularly public service that has the potential to impact almost 1 million students' lives. It's an honor and a privilege with a responsibility that I do not take lightly.
Van Dieven begins her duties as Missouri's Commissioner of Education on January 2nd. The 2019 session of the Missouri General Assembly convenes next month. There will be some new faces in the legislature following the November elections, but the overall makeup of the General Assembly remains largely unchanged, with Republicans maintaining significant majorities in both the House and the Senate. It will be the first session with Governor Mike Parson in that office. MSBA's Associate Executive Director for Advocacy, Mike Reed, says state funding for public schools will once again be a major issue.
I look for funding for the formula to be, they will go make a shot at making sure it gets fully funded. Transportation is a whole nother story. We are desperately low on transportation funding, and I don't see that coming forward this year. We will work very hard to get more money into transportation. However, it's going to be a long, hard pull because there are so many other people trying to get at that pot of money.
Another issue likely to return in the 2019 legislative session is expansion of charter schools. Right now, charter schools exist only in St. Louis and Kansas City. However, bills are likely to be introduced in the coming legislative session to expand charters to other school districts in the state. Kansas City Superintendent Dr. Mark Bedell says the growth of charter schools in that district has resulted in inefficiencies and unnecessary duplication of services for students. He says school districts throughout the state need to be concerned that the expansion of charter schools could put additional strain on funding available for schools.
it goes back to the financial resources that we already are thin on. We know right now that we have a $200 million or somewhere in that range deficit with transportation. And we think as the tax rolls come in this year with all of the tax cuts and all of those good things, that the state's going to find itself in some tough scenarios, being able to continuously fully fund education. And so when you then introduce more options and opportunity, it results ultimately in you having to operate for full facilities, full-time administrators, full-time staff, the resources and all of that. And once again, that then spreads the money thinner.
MSBA supports only those charter schools that are authorized by local boards of education and subject to the same accountability standards as other Missouri public schools. Be sure to make plans now to attend MSBA's annual Legislative Forum, Public Schools Day at the Capitol on February 11th in Jefferson City. Registration information is available on the MSBA website. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
This portion of the meeting is allocated for the board to provide an update of current activities and events in the district that may be of special interest to board members and the community. So we will first have Mr. Scott Ebert.
Hello, everyone. I really just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. I'm sure the kids and staff are looking forward to the, shall we say, break. I know for me, spirit of love and Christmas should be all year round. At Christmas and just recently today, in fact, I've got, I had someone very close to me who is very sick. And we got awesome news after a lot of praying that this person's going to be all right. So I'll just say, love everybody you can in your life, especially those kids that really need our help and guidance. And you know, for me, I'm going to really start looking around at people in my life that are hard to love and really, really, really try to spread my wings and just about love anybody I can. And I'll tell you what, our kids are doing amazing things here, and our staff and you know, when I saw the concert tonight and I see all the kids come up here, something's going really, really right in this district. So thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Ebert. Do you have a, okay. Then we will now have Ms. Hogshead.
Good evening, everyone. I have the Department of Human Services activities update. The department continues to be focused on the process for placing staff under the restructuring plan. Teacher service and seniority information has been audited for all teachers and now is available by accessing the employee self-service page and Munis system. Additionally, meetings with the staff have begun under the leadership of the superintendent that aim to provide comprehensive information about the placement process. Meetings have occurred with administrators, Vogt Elementary School, McClure South Berkeley, and will continue until all schools have had these one-on-one meetings. And I would also like to follow the love system that Scott started, but I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, and I hope that we all keep the spirit of love and compassion and kindness in our hearts, because that's what it is important. And if you have time, like the Baptist Church did, to go out and reach out to others, there's people that are homeless, there's people that are in nursing homes that have no family or have no love. Besides, some of our students and our children in the area need lots of extra love. So share your love, give your smiles, and be patient when you're out. I understand the highways are very crowded, and I haven't been to the malls. I've gotten into this internet thing, but just enjoy your holiday and love your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hogshead. Ms. Ponder.
All right, good evening. My update is the curriculum update. So during the December principals meeting, leaders took a deep dive into math content and curriculum materials to deepen their learning and understanding of math instruction. Also, instructional leadership teams took a deeper dive into the professional learning cycle, specifically looking at peer observations in an effort to strengthen teacher-to-teacher feedback around instruction and the powerful practices. On-site professional development through lesson studies continued at several elementary schools this month. Lesson study is a structure of embedded professional development used to examine the teacher-learning connection. The model includes planning, observing a model lesson, collecting data, and debriefing. This process can take teachers and administrators deep into the planning, pacing, and facilitation of lessons. To date, 14 of our 17 elementary schools have participated in an on-site ELA lesson study. So far from the feedback we've received, this has been a powerful learning experience for teachers and administrators. Lastly, the district level curriculum office has begun building out the plan for updating and implementing standards-based grading for the 1920 school year. On a personal note, I just wanted to let everybody know I was not at the last board meeting. I was busy having a baby. My family welcomed my son, Dean Michael. He was actually born on Halloween, which is really cool because that's my favorite holiday. And besides that, so he's 6 weeks old tonight. So besides that, I just wanted to wish everybody a very happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Ms. Harge?
Good evening, everyone. The district is actually working to build community engagement stakeholders in a meaningful way. So I have the stakeholder report. And I want to say congratulations, a good job, awesome for our McClure North Band tonight. They did an awesome job. Our board was prepared. We were prepared to participate in the Ferguson Northern Lights Parade. However, the parade was canceled due to a tornado warning and we weren't able to reschedule. Soon we'll be sharing a survey regarding early education opportunities for next year. Please share the survey with anyone you know in the district who has 2 through 4-year-old children. And don't forget to go on our website at fergflorida.org. It has a lot of information, anything you want to know. And you can also ask your questions and in a couple days you'll get an answer. We are excited to announce Summer Camp Expo with Blueprint for Summer St. Louis on March 9th, 2019 in McClure North. Come and learn about exciting summer opportunities for children ages 3 to 18. Be on the lookout for much more information that's coming soon. A lot of our schools are doing a lot of great activities. The 2018 Halls Ferry Community Walk was great. Special thank you to all who helped and participated, including the Home Depot, Office Max, Lane Bryant, Marshall's, Sonic Drive-In, and the Florissant Police Department. Congratulations to Carlton Dunning, a student at Ferguson Middle School, who is one of the area's latest recipients of the Do Right Thing Award. Carlton was recognized for his extraordinary behavior and serving as a role model for his peers. And Lee Hamilton students were among the first to load up the canned goods drive school bus with canned goods and non-perishable food items. The bus made its way to several schools in the district, collecting items to support the McClure High Food Drive. And wanted to illustrate the importance of reading. And I know some of you probably already have this information, but a student who reads 20 minutes per day will be exposed to 1.8 million words per year and scores in the 90th percentile on standard tests. A student that reads 5 minutes per day will be exposed to 282,000 words per year and scores in the 50% percentiles on standard tests. A student that reads 1 minute per day will be exposed to 8,000 words per year and scores in the 10th percentile on standardized tests. So we always encourage students to read. And these are just some of the ways we are connecting with stakeholders. Remember, again, about our website that you can learn many things. And I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a blessed and prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Mr. Chabot?
Hello, everybody. I'm on the infrastructure and processes for the strategic plan. Tonight is the deadline for those teachers who wish to apply for the Chromebook Tub Grant. At this time, there's been 49 teachers who have applied for it. Again, the deadline is midnight, so get the word out, get those applications submitted. Instructional technology has been busy working with our schools. They've been doing a lot of one-on-one training sessions, and they're getting extremely high ratings. So for those teachers, make sure you take advantage of instructional technology. They're doing a dynamite job. We're still working through the process of with the restructuring. I'm sure Dr. Davis may share some information about that because about information that's going to be coming out soon. So at McClure North, they're in the process of installing alarms on all the doors. So when a door is opened, the alarm will sound, then they'll respond. So they're going to roll it out in McClure North and then roll it out to the other schools as well in the near future. I'm also a member of the SSD, the Special School Districts Governing Council. We had our meeting the other night, and they're in the process of redoing the partnership agreement. I know a lot of the school districts and superintendents have been part of that. I'm not sure if Dr. Davis is part of that, but they're redoing that agreement. They did state that their expenses are currently outpacing the revenue that's coming. At one time, they had over 40% of their general revenue in a reserve fund. So what they've been doing is actually adding positions throughout the SSD district. Currently, they said there's been about an increase, about 400 additional students enrolled in SSD in the county. We did ask if that's as a result of better screening, the hiring process, what's going on. They really couldn't pinpoint the reason other than there has been an increase. There is an election coming up for special school district, school board. Their process is very different than the way we do ours. We form a campaign, we go door to door. They don't. They submit an application. And then it comes before the governing council members, and we interview them, and then we vote on who will sit on the special school district school board. The district that makes up Ferg Floor, and we're one of many, but that seat is up for election in March. So if you have a desire to serve as a school board member in special school district, I encourage you to contact special school district and submit the application to be part of that. So, and that is all I have. So thank you very much.
Rob, I got a question. Did they mention what the reserves are at now?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Rob. It's me next. Good evening, everyone. I first would like to thank McClure North Jazz Band for making special accommodations to be here tonight. For everyone who was involved in pulling that off in a 2 weeks notice, I thank you so much. It was a pleasure for those who got to see those students perform. As a Berkeley alumni, I just wanted to be the one to first mention in this arena that on January 27th, the McClure South Berkeley track and field program will be inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. The track and field program has combined to win 28 state team championships between 1982 and 2017. I'm glad that I was in school around that time as an alumni to be able to witness that, and some of my own, plaques are on the wall, but that's what I was saying. Some of my own classmates that graduated with me were able to, will be in that range. So I just think it's awesome, and I'm not exactly sure who all will be there, but tickets are $150. I'm hoping that if there are students that need to go, that the board will be able to sponsor some students. If the community would like more information, you can contact Mr. Keith Rhodes, who is still at McClure South Berkeley, to get a little bit more information on that. So I just want to make sure I share that. Last Friday, I had the opportunity to go with our board secretary, Heike, to their board secretary meeting. And at that meeting, I was able to speak with other board secretaries, basically talking about the process of being a board member, what it feels like, what are some of the ways that board secretaries can work a little bit better with us, and just making sure that the onboarding process goes well for all board members. At that time, I was asked, what did I like and what I disliked about being a board member? One of the one of my answers was, of course, the pay. We don't get paid that much to do this. So that was something I didn't like, but that's a joke. But seriously, one of the things I didn't like was that when we are faced with so many things as board members, well, it's not even so many things, but when we are tasked with parent complaints and issues that are going on in our schools, as board members, we don't have the ability to, as individuals, to fix everything. And we have to rely on administrators and teachers and support staff to make changes that we want to see happen. But at that meeting, that's basically what I said. But as I thought about it a little bit more as weeks went, as the week followed, I had a meeting at one of our schools in our district. And at that time, I was able to figure out a way to do something. And it's like the story where the man is on the beach and he sees all the starfishes, and all the starfishes are on the beach, and somebody goes up to him. Well, and the man is basically trying to throw the starfishes back into the ocean. And somebody asked the man, well, why are you doing that? You can't save them all. And the whole thing was, I can at least save one. And as a board member, I think it's important for us to at least to try to save one or two or three or four. And being able to do that every day makes this job worthwhile. And this week, I have really been able to utilize my influence as a board member, utilize in my own job to be able to save one family. And I'm able to say, like, so today in my own staffing meeting, I shared this story and I kind of prepared exactly what I was going to say in this board meeting tonight. And in my staff meeting, so I don't know if everybody know what I do. I'm a clinical director of a nonprofit where I work with basically children that come through our school doors every day. And it's all across St. Louis County. And so this opportunity, I got to staff one of our children that we serve. And that family is going through a lot. And I decided to provide wraparound services to this family. So we are going to provide art therapy. We're going to do trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy with the family. We're going to have some of my staff mentor two of the children in the family. And this is something that we've never tried, but I challenge my team to figure out how can we wrap around this family and provide supports. And I think as a society, we need to learn how to work through some of those systems and be able to wrap around families that need it the most. And I just kind of wanted to share that because you sitting in your seats are just one person. I was just one person, and you can make a difference. So going into 2019, think about that. How can I make a difference? Even if it's just one life, how can I make a difference? And that's all my report for this evening. We will now have FFNEA Representative Mike Ertl and Krista Castellano. All righty.
Hello, my name is Mike Ertl. Good evening, Board, Superintendent. The weekend before Thanksgiving, elected leadership from the Ferguson-Florissant NEA traveled to Branson to join hundreds of other Missouri NEA members at a representative assembly. During this weekend, bylaws and legislative platforms changes are debated and put to a vote. 2 representative assemblies each year make the governing decisions for the Missouri NEA. The Ferguson-Florissant NEA would like to thank the board for their opportunity to have release time for these elected members to attend this important event. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Davis. The Executive Board of the FFNEA also wishes to make sure that the board is aware that it is unclear this year as to how negotiation process will function in light of House Bill 1413. House Bill 1413 requires the certification or recertification of all bargaining units prior to any district entering into the collective bargaining process with them. The Ferguson-Florissant NEA is currently waiting to hear the results of a hearing around an injunction heard last Friday, December 7th. But if this does not come to be, the FFNEA will need to begin the certification process in January, which will impact our standard negotiation process. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now have Dr. Davis.
Good evening, everybody. I have a few things here. First, again, I want to congratulate our students for an amazing job this evening. We have talent all across this place. That's no surprise to me and to many of you either. But it's just nice to be able to see our students perform in the ways that they did a few minutes ago. And I am a jazz enthusiast, so I was particularly happy to hear and see the battling going on. I was just taken aback by it. So congratulations to all of them, to all of our students. Also, just want to say a couple things here about some things that have gone on. So on the 17th of November, FYI sponsored a college application process. FYI is the Ferguson Youth Initiative. And I'm actually on that board now, and I'm excited to be on that board because they serve the students in our district and in Ferguson. And so we've assisted them and are supporting them. On Thursday, FYI hosted a college readiness workshop at McClure High School. We're excited about the opportunities to partner with FYI for the sake of all our students across the district. I think more importantly is educating our students like myself, first generation college, about what that process looks like, what steps to take, making sure that moms and dads and grandmoms know about the FAFSA form, what that process looks like, how entailed it can be, but more importantly, just giving students hope that they can go to college when you don't think you can. Often kids look at the money and the costs that go along with going to school and don't necessarily know all the details around it. If you are from a home like mine, there's money available, but you won't know that if somebody doesn't tell you that and show you the process. And so I'm really excited about that partnership with community-based organizations. On the 17th, I was in a superintendent's roundtable at Ed Plus. And the one thing I wanted to say about that is, and this is really specifically focusing on our high schools and career academies, we had a group of folks on a panel who submitted, presented is a better word, some really great information about workforce and workforce development. And all of our students in 6th grade through 9th grade are taking the Missouri Options Survey. And that survey gives us an idea about what our students' interests are. That's really important data to have. And when you take that data and then you compare it with the workforce development data, Dr. Muhammad has been a huge part of that work going on in our community. And 2 of the areas that there are high needs in jobs is in technology and healthcare, also finance. And so when you think about what our kids' interests are, think about what the workforce development data says, those are really important pieces of information to bring together when we're talking about building career academies in our schools. Say it differently, what kind of courses we offer that our students can take that can prepare them for those kinds of jobs, for those kinds of careers. So I was really excited to have those partners come and present. I've already reached out to many of them. I'm often meeting with folks. In fact, I have a meeting coming up soon with the gentleman from Launch Code, specifically on how we partner and think about preparing kids for coding. And when we have computer science in our schools, but that community partnership is critically important so that students have choices when they graduate from high school. Educational equity consultants did a really good job with us on the 20th of November, the Tuesday before we got out for Thanksgiving. We've been working with them specifically on areas of equity, thinking about what equity is. Most folks use the word, and sometimes there's not clarity enough around what it really means and how we should be thinking about it. Thinking about our own biases. I think about oftentimes we look at it as issues of race and how we are different, but what we are is more alike than we're different. But it's taking time to figure out and find out what those things are, what people's experiences are. And they did a phenomenal job. Our administrators have been going through that because they are leading teachers and leading students. And some schools have already begun having students engage in that kind of conversation. It's really important in our community to make sure that we're having those kinds of conversations, specifically for people in positions of authority. When you're in a position of authority, it is important to have some time to reflect on what are your own biases. Often when we look at people, we first sum them up based on what we see. And often we use race as that factor that divides our thinking around how we think about that person. And we have to check ourselves about how we think about people. And I will offer that one of the things that has emerged for me is that I'm more conscientious now about there's this whole notion of there's a danger in a single story. There's a danger in thinking that all Black folks are alike. There's a danger in thinking all white folks are alike. There's a danger in thinking that people who may have some similarities are alike. Everybody's different, and it's important to find out what those differences are. And the only way to do that is to spend time to get to know folks and to make sure that we are checking our own implicit biases, especially if you're in a position of authority, that you can make decisions, because those implicit biases impact the decisions you make that affect so many people, especially children. And so I was really excited about that work, and that's ongoing. And we recognize that as leaders in this district, that it's important to value everybody. And so we're going to be pulling more folks, especially parents and people in the community who want to be a part of that work. We had a great faith community partner breakfast last week on the 6th of December. Had about 20 members from the faith community with us on the 3rd floor. We scheduled it for about an hour and a half, and it certainly went over, but it was packed with great information. We shared a lot about restructuring, but what we did do was offer plenty of time for questions and answers. And it was amazing. And I'm really excited about some of the partnerships that we're building with our faith-based community. Because what we want to do is to make sure that people have not only accurate information, but complete information. Oftentimes when you hear rumors, it's not that they always are inaccurate. It's just that most times they're incomplete. People have pieces of information and not the complete package. And so when you create a story based on pieces, then it turns into something totally untrue. And it's important to get the complete information. Here's an example. I get emails and letters often from different families and people in the community. And one of the misconceptions out there was that we would only have full day pre-K. That's not true at all. I've met personally with our pre-K staff. We're excited about offering to our 3 and 4-year-olds the opportunity to start school earlier at no cost to the parents. But we're not going to turn away families who only need half-day pre-K. That's just one example. Sometimes information that gets out there is not inaccurate, it's just incomplete. We're still offering pre-K for full day, but we're also offering for half day as well. I just use that as an example to say that it's really important to engage in many of these conversations. I'll be a part of one tomorrow evening to help make sure that folks have as much information as we can give, especially about this process of restructuring. This is really important. It's really important to all of us. It impacts all of us, me in particular. And I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to educate our communities and our families, and especially our children. I've been going around to schools, meeting with staffs, talking specifically about the restructuring process and hopes and fears. Staffing often comes up, and lots of questions come up. I do a short presentation, but I'd like to spend more time giving staff members an opportunity to ask questions. I met with VOTE staff this morning. I met with MSB staff last week, I think it was, We got meetings scheduled and just really trying to engage our teachers so that principals and teachers have that information. Yesterday, I met in this room for about an hour and a half with all of the principals and assistant principals in our district with the same kinds of opportunities to talk about and make sure people are equipped with information so that we make sure our families and our community are on the same page. So we'll constantly do that, which is one of the reasons for having the meeting tomorrow night in the public. So I'm really excited to be able to continue doing that work so folks know what's going on in our district, but also know that we're heading in the right direction. It's hard because change is hard, but it's necessary because what I think about is not just today, but in 10 years, what will we look like? In 20 years, what will we look like as a school district and as a community? I'll end by saying this, that, I often say this. Oftentimes, what people say when they move to a new community, one of the questions they ask is, "How are your schools?" And I said this to the prayer breakfast. But what folks normally mean is, "How are your public schools?" Not your private schools, not your parochial schools, but your public schools. And if your public schools are good, that's a part of the recipe for success. And that is what we're after, having great public schools in Ferguson, Florissant, so that we can be the best community ever. I just said that would be my last thing. The last thing I'll say is Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. 2019 will be amazing. Just know that. 2019, I declare it right now, 2019 will be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. The board allocates this portion of the meeting to allow stakeholders the opportunity to comment on both agenda items and non-agenda items at the start of each board meeting. Prior to the public comment period, participants are asked to fill out a comment card with their name, address, phone number, email, address, and topic to be addressed, and will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. Members of the audience who wish to speak to the board are requested to speak from the podium, identify themselves in keeping with district policies 4054, 4059, and personnel law, should refrain from making negative comments that are personally identifiable. While the board will not directly respond to speakers during the public comment period, the board president may make clarifying remarks at the end of the comment session to correct any misstatement of facts. We will first have Ms. Cassandra Butler discussing people reaching out for unity and diversity.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I guess I could, I want to mention the meeting that we're having tomorrow night that Dr. Davis just referenced. We have reconstituted an organization in Ferguson called PROUD, which stands for People Reaching Out for Unity and Diversity. And our main purpose is getting the community together and having discussions and increasing our capacity to be engaged with whatever's going on and understanding each other. So what we're doing tomorrow night is we notice that in the town halls that we've had about the restructuring, that most of the emphasis has been on the high schools. And I think that's basically because a lot of the information or the restructuring that is happening with pre-K to 8th grade is pretty similar from option 1, option 2, option 3. And consequently, I think that that there is very real restructuring going on in those grade levels, but we didn't really discuss it that much last year because of the issues with the high schools. So we want to focus tomorrow night on what's going on with pre-K to 8th grade. So that meeting will be tomorrow night at the Ferguson Community Center. That's at 1050 Smith Avenue. It's in the Event Center, which used to be a church. So it starts at 6:30 and it goes to 8:15. So we invite you to think of your questions, particularly questions like maybe the travel distance might be further. So maybe your child has to ride the bus. And maybe you might need to think what you need to do as a family to make that work for you, because maybe before you had an older child in 6th grade that used to walk your 2nd grader home or whatever. So think about issues or how you're going to be able to implement the changes, and also make sure you ask questions so you can understand what the changes are and how those changes are expected to benefit your family, etc. Also, so Dr. Joseph Davis will be there, and also we'll have a professor for UMSL who specializes in urban education research. His name is Dr. Jerome Morris. And I also do have to do a shout out for Patrick Johnson, who was shown in the update as a a Berkeley High School graduate who was on that track team that's going to be honored in Springfield. So he's part of that Berkeley tradition. And I just wanted to do a shout out for the Berkeley track team and the teacher at, I think, Walnut Grove, Patrick Johnson.
Thank you. We will now have Ms. Carolyn Randazzo talk about restructuring.
You know, I come to board meetings and it's so exciting to hear all the good things happening with our students and our staff. So tonight it's really hard for me to stand here and say that I'm very disappointed. I'm severely disappointed. On September the 26th, the community came out. Some 450 of us came out to the hub at McClure to figure out something about the situation facing our district, the restructuring. We, the people, showed up. You know, we're always looking for community involvement. We need and we want community involvement. And there was community involvement that night and engagement. We were out there. We listened to the plans. We listened to the information. And we practiced democracy in its purest form that night. We voted. We expressed our opinion. And not 2 weeks later, the majority of this board ignored the wishes of this community and the option that they chose for our schools. So that tells me something. You know, you're elected to the seats on the board to represent we, the people. And the majority of this board did not represent us on that night. I'm very disappointed in that. We need to have that representation. We put you in those seats to represent us, and we expect that. I'm also disappointed because we're missing on a big opportunity here. And Dr. Graves touched on it, wraparound services for our children. There's a model of schools called the Full Service Community Schools model. It's research-backed, it's data-driven. And what it does is put those wraparound services right in the schools and the services that the kids in that school need and that neighborhood wants. We have an opportunity here. We've got buildings that have extra space. So we've got the lights on, we've got the doors open. All we need are site coordinators to coordinate the services that the children need, and that can happen. We have that space available. The providers are out there ready to do those services. What does this model do for our kids? It's shown across the country in cities like Cincinnati, Ohio, and Oakland, California, and many others. And it raises the achievement of our kids. They get their needs met right there at school. So we have this opportunity and we're passing it up. We're not going to have to move kids around. We're not going to have to disrupt or even eliminate communities or their schools if we go with this model. So I hope that you will take that to heart and take that into consideration as we go forward this year. Thank you.
Carolyn, before you go, can you say what's the name of that model one more time?
It's Full Service Community Schools. There is a website that you can go to, communityschools.org. Also, the Alliance to Reclaim Our Schools is very involved in that. So is the NEA. There's many groups that are backing this model, and it's been around for a while, so there is research out there and data.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We will now have Ms. Judy Ferguson Shaw discuss McClure South Berkeley.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I've come up here several times, I guess every board meeting, and I'm talking about my school. I'm a graduate of Berkeley High School, and of course, I work at McClure South Berkeley High School. And yes, I feel the pain of our students who the board has decided last month to take their school away from them. And they're still upset about that. And I've asked a question, and so tonight, I'm just going to ask that same question again. We have an IB program that we're putting at McClure North High School, and we're leaving the children at McClure North and integrating them with the IB program. I still want to know why this board can't allow my children at McClure South Berkeley High School to remain in their school while you bring the 30 kids from the STEAM school and put them in that school. I believe that those kids can coexist in the school and the programs for both kids, the ones from the STEAM school and the ones at McClure South Berkeley High School would all be enhanced by the program. So I'd like to have an answer to that. I've asked that question, and maybe I've said too much in the past that you didn't understand, and I'm still asking that same question. Why my kids can't stay there? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. That's it for public comments. The 3-year terms of Ferguson-Florissant School Board members Leslie Hogshead and Constance Connie Harge expire in April of 2019. Declarations of candidacy can be picked up in the office of the superintendent at 8855 Dunn Road, Hazelwood, Missouri, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the days the district is open. Under Missouri law, the first day to file as a candidate was Tuesday, December 11, 2018. File closes at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 15, 2019. School district offices will be closed Monday, December 24th, 2018 through Friday, January 4th, 2019. The annual election for the Board of Education is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. A person who wishes to file for candidacy for the Board of Education must be, number 1, a citizen of the United States, 2, at least 24 years old, 3, a resident taxpayer of the school district, 4, a resident of the state of Missouri for at least 1 year. In addition, the candidate must follow these procedures. Number 1, file a declaration of candidacy, and number 2, filing pursuant to District Policy 4013. The Ferguson-Florissant School District Board election in April 2019 will be conducted by cumulative voting, a change ordered by the federal court. In cumulative voting, voters cast as many votes as there are seats. Voters are not limited to giving only one vote to a candidate. Instead, they can give their votes to one or more candidates. For instance, in this election, for 2 open board seats, voters could choose to give one vote each to 2 different candidates, or both votes to a single candidate. Currently, we have, as of today, 5 candidates who have declared candidacy. If you are in the building, I would ask for you to just stand and acknowledge yourselves, please. We have Miss Leslie Hogshead, Connie Harge, Doug Eamon, Sheila Powell Walker, and Ryan Franklin. Okay. One thing I just wanted to say, after that meeting I went to on Friday, I know that being a board member is a lot of work, and sometimes when people are signing up for this job, they don't know what they're signing up for. So as a board member, I'm willing to meet with those people who are interested in running for the board, just like a meet and greet before the declaration of candidacy is over, just so you can ask any questions that you may have and so you can know your expectations. So I haven't set a date for that yet, but I'm welcoming any board member who else would like to do that as well. I just think it's important for you to know exactly what you're getting into. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that opportunity will be available. And we will take just a short recess, 3 minutes and we'll be right back. So 3 minutes. It did. Leslie. You got Scott. Yes. Yes. All right, we will be reconvening. Did I even hit the gavel? I don't think I hit it. Board Secretary, can you please read the allocations?
Payroll disbursements for teacher and non-teacher is $9,426,566.95. The operational disbursements are $2,244,690.56, making a total of $11,671,257.51.
May I get a recommendation, please, to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. We will now have Ms. Bess.
Good evening again. The legislature passed Senate Bill 603, requiring all Missouri schools to adopt policy to allow access to online coursework to K-12 students through the Missouri Online Course Access Program. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education requires districts to have policy in place for launching MOCAP during second semester of this school year. The policy before you has been informed by MSBA and sets forth the district's obligation to meeting criteria set forth in the law. This is the first reading of that policy.
All right, this is just for board information. Does anyone have any questions? All right, thank you, Tiffany.
Yep.
Dr. Bland?
Good evening.
Good evening.
The Ferguson Florissant School District seeks to create a student body at the STEAM Middle School and STEAM High School that reflects the diversity of the district's population and prepares future leaders in science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. The district uses a systematic approach for the admissions process that is composed of multiple criteria, including objective measures and a competent professional evaluation. Components are actually those that would be selected for placement and considered would be all current STEAM middle school students. There would also be a proportional allotment for seats at the STEAM high school, non-public resident students, current STEAM middle school students, and gifted and talented students. This would be the first read for the policy.
Okay, this is for board information. Is there any questions?
The process that you're going through on this one, is it pretty much parallel to the middle school?
Yes, it is very similar to the middle school admissions process. The most significant difference would be the proportional allotment for students at the high school. Would you like me to?
Refresh our memory. How many students applied at the middle school who wanted to go to the STEAM Academy?
There were 262 students that actually applied.
Okay.
And we currently have at the STEAM middle school, 176 students.
But that was applied last year. So every year you open up
Yes, we
the
open a
process. And
different-
last year there was, you said, over 200?
Yes, and we have 176 students currently.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Blaine, can you give us the numbers in regards to what we are anticipating in enrollment for the STEAM high school?
Yes. Okay. For the 2019-20 school year, we are anticipating 300 students. 30 of those students would be our current eighth graders who would then be ninth grade. We would have 30 STEAM students for 10th grade. And then that would come in through the district. We would have 70 students. So we'd have a total of 100 ninth grade, a total of 100 10th grade, a total of 100 11th grade, and no 12th graders, which would be 300. The following year, we would add another group of ninth graders, and we would increase to 500 students. 2021 to 2022, we would increase to 600 students, and then 2022 to 2023, we would increase by 700 students. So each year we would be adding another group of ninth graders to the group.
Thank you. All right. We will now have.
So real quick, just to clear up for the community, what was your last number when you're full, you're done, whenever?
700 in 2023.
So it's more than just 30 kids going over to a big high school.
So we would start with our current STEAM middle school students, but we would also open admissions to our current Ferguson Florissant students who
Right.
meet criteria.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we will now have Dr. Boyd.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the board's review tonight is the first reading of the proposed calendar for the 2019-20 school year. You will notice that based upon survey results, we have a proposed start date of August 15th, which would be approximately a week later than we have started in the past few years. This would allow a couple things to happen. One, some additional PD and opportunity for school teams to meet at the beginning of the school year, but also opportunity to continue the process of making sure that we have everything moved in for schools and teachers post restructuring. The other thing to notice is that we've got some proposed dates from the St. Louis County Election Board. Those are not on here, but for your consideration, and on April 2nd, there's going to be municipal elections. March 10th of 2020, there will be a presidential primary. There will also be another municipal local elections on April 7th, 2020, and on August 4th of 2020. I mentioned those dates for the consideration of potentially using some of those larger election days as professional development days, as some other school districts have done, because the disruption sometimes to school operations can be significant, especially when we have a presidential election. And if we looked at the turnout for this past midterms, it was one of the biggest midterm turnouts, and not just us, but other school districts really had to battle with trying to make sure they had access and that things weren't disturbed too much. And if the board would like, I can then send you those dates from the county election board so you can consider that when we go for our final read later in the spring. Typically, we will come back with this second reading and a final vote after we've had some time due to negotiations. Right now, as was stated earlier by our colleagues in the FNEA, there are some things in flux. And we may, depending upon what happens, that may impact when the calendar will come forward for your final reading. But we definitely would like it to be voted on earlier rather than later, because it allows people to make appropriate plans.
All right, any discussion, questions? Once again, that was just for board information. Thank you. The next one is you again.
This year, the administration and cooperation with the FNEA formed a committee to look over support staff evaluations. For tonight, we are hoping that the board will approve revised evaluation forms for aides, bus drivers and monitors, food service, custodians, nurses, office professionals, security, technology specialists, and maintenance personnel. The last time these were updated were in 2012. Collectively, we felt the need to update the form so that they could be more responsive specifically to those departments. Most of the time, what had happened is departments were using a generic model that was based upon the old teacher competency evaluation. And so that really didn't fit. And so there was a lot of really great work led in part by both Donna, Troy, and by Sandra Goforth McDougall. A lot of really good work, and I think that there was a thoughtfulness was put into this because we want evaluations to be responsive and provide a true value add for when employees are being supervised and evaluated.
All right, this is for board action. May I get a recommendation to approve the evaluation forms for the district support staff? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, there you go.
Thank you.
We will now have Ms. Madruzik.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Davis, and community. In June of 2017, the Board approved the USDA's updated wellness policy. This was important because we do receive free breakfast and lunch for all of our students, and it's important that we adhere to the USDA's policy. The policy recognizes the relationship between student well-being and student achievement and the importance of a comprehensive district wellness plan. The policy addresses nutrition, fundraising, celebrations, and rewards, also physical activity, and it also promotes nutrition education. So one piece that was not included in this wellness policy were the guidelines that revolve around marketing and advertising in our schools. In order to be eligible for certain grants, we are required to have these guidelines added into our policy. Administration is seeking the addition of the guidelines that revolve around the marketing and advertising into policy 3050, which is the district wellness program. And this is also the first reading.
Any questions? All right, hearing none. All right, Ms. Madruzik, one more time.
Okay. Every year, we are required to have an audit that is submitted to DESE and uploaded to the federal government. Carlton, our Director of Finance, Carlton Brooks, is actually the person that is in charge of the audit and does all of the coordinating. We have to coordinate with a lot of people, and so he works with our auditor and Chris and our other members to get the information that we need to provide. So I'm going to turn this over to him.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Davis. How are you all this evening? As Laura, Ms. Madruzik has mentioned, we're here to talk briefly about the results of the audit. The annual audit of the district's financial operation for fiscal year 2017-18 has been completed by our certified public accountant, Showalter and Jabori, PC, or professional corporation. The board has received a copy of the examination of the financial statements for the year ending June 30th. A representative of the CPA firm, and that we have Christina Jaquin here, and she'll come forward shortly. She's present to address any questions that you may have with regard to the audit. It is the administration's recommendation tonight that you, the board, approve the audit report for fiscal year 2017-18 as submitted by Showalter and Jabori, PC, and published the summary of receipts and expenditures in a local newspaper. At this time, we're going to bring Ms. Jaquin forward to address any questions, and she's got some comments to bring forth at this time.
Good evening.
Showalter and Jabouri performed an audit of the district's financial statements for the year ended June 30th, 2018. On page 1 of the financial statements, you will find our independent auditor's report. In that report, we give our opinion on the financial statements. And our opinion is that the district's financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with the modified cash basis of accounting. With regard to the federal and state reporting, we are pleased to report that we noted no findings over compliance and internal control that we are required to report related to federal awards programs. And we noted that the district has made significant progress on implementing the 2 internal control over financial reporting recommendations that we were required to report. With regard to the June 30th, 2018 financial highlights, the district ended the year with a total governmental fund balance of approximately $26.6 million. In the operating funds, the total fund balance was approximately $22.3 million. And of that amount, approximately $19.1 million was unassigned. In addition to the audit report, we have also issued a report on internal control related matters and advisory comments. In this report, we have communicated to the board deficiencies in internal control over financial reporting mentioned earlier, as well as suggestions for improving operating efficiency. We have also provided a status update as to the status of prior year comments. We have also issued a report titled Report to the Board of Education, which includes required communications from the auditor to the board at the conclusion of the audit. Finally, I would like to thank Dr. Davis, Ms. Madrusik, Mr. Brooks, and their staff for the many courtesies extended to us during the audit. And at this time, I would be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
May I please get a recommendation first to approve the audit report for fiscal 2017 and 18 as submitted? All right, discussion or questions? I just want to say on behalf of the board, congratulations, financial team. And all in favor?
Just real quick, what are the reserves at right now?
He's a little late.
17.46%.
Thanks.
Anything else I got? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And last, I am requesting as board president that we establish an equity committee that is made up of board members, administrators, teachers, support staff, students, parents, community members, and stakeholders. The mission of this equity committee will be to advise the district and act as a community catalyst for improving student success among students from racial and ethnic minority groups, economically disadvantaged backgrounds, LGBTQIA students, students who have disability, and students who speak languages other than English. Achieving equity is a shared responsibility between the community and the district, and it can be achieved only through mutual responsibility. The Equity Committee will make recommendations for board considerations and will begin meeting in January of 2019. Interested prospective committee members are asked to submit an online application where they will describe how they will contribute if selected to be on this equity committee. If you are interested and would like to serve on this committee, go to the district website and click on Equity Committee Information link under Board of Education. But before we are able to do that, I must receive approval or a recommendation from board. So may I get a recommendation, please? All right, discussion?
I would just like to say that I'm not against doing this and doing equity, but what I would recommend is not starting in January, but to research. And I do know someone that has taught at or presented at New York University, and has also done seminars for the teachers in New York City, and is going to come at no cost to the district and present and show how a committee like this can get off and what it can really do. And it's actually classroom management law as well as the
teachers buy into it, and it can't really be driven by the board, it needs to be driven by the existing people. And so I would like to recommend that instead of starting in January, that this person in February and speak to us, and maybe Dr. Davis and somebody else, but I think it would be good us to get an idea of how to do this.
So we have the Parent Advisory Committee. Is there a reason why this couldn't be incorporated into that, into the parent? Because administration and parents and other groups already get together and discuss a wide range of issues with the school district. Instead of forming a whole new committee, can we just incorporate this into the Parent Advisory Committee?
I believe that the Parent Advisory Committee is an already established committee, and I mean, that's Dr. Davis' committee for the most part. And I think to me, that's two totally separate topics of discussion. And it might be different people who would want to do that, because it's not just parents, it's stakeholders, it's teachers and other people in the community. It's just not just parents. And back to what you were saying, Leslie, in regards to starting in January, I just believe that it's long overdue, and to continue to keep putting it off. I mean, I believe that that committee, once designed, could then decide on if they would like to bring somebody in.
My question is just, I guess, the nuts and bolts of it all. So, like the finance committee I was on and the health committee I was on, I never remember the board. The only committees I remember the board voting on were, so my point is, if you want to have this committee, you just have the committee like these other committees. The only committee I remember the board's voting on, the board was like when we made that committee for looking through the policy, because it was a board committee kind of thing. So I'm just a little unclear really about the whole thing. I mean, it's fine. I mean, but I don't know why. Explain why it's a board. So if it's a board committee, wouldn't it be us? I don't understand it, I guess is what I'm saying. And
One of the policies, it's action for me to be able to do this, that as president, I have to, it's a policy that states that I can put request a committee to be formed. And for that to be able to be formed, I have to get board's approval to even form it. It's not, I can't just say, okay, I'm gonna do a committee and then it happens. It's part of a temporary committee, and I can't, if I can look right now to which exact policy it is, but for me to do a temporary committee, I have to have board approval.
Because I don't think on the policy committee we had board approval, and that was a board committee.
I don't know if we made an official vote, but I remember we talked about it. Yeah, I don't know. And even a temporary committee, I don't really understand the end goal.
Larry, can you come to the podium for me real quick?
I'm just confused by it all. I really am. Because I know when I started with the district, I was on that High Achievement for All committee, and Art McCoy set up, but he just set it up. I don't remember or Jeff Spiegel did before him. So I don't remember.
As an example, when the district did its salary review in 2006, it was directed under the board to do so as a separate committee, but it was under the direction of the board. That's just an example of one.
But that's given direction. This is actually establishing a committee.
No, and there was a committee, there are temporary committees that the board can determine to go ahead and establish for a particular purpose that the committee then can go ahead and make recommendations to the board. So board president, 4016. Oh, got the board 4017. Page 133. Yeah, can you set that in? Thanks.
In fact, I would like that more than a committee that we could just be all inclusive to anyone who wants to show up and come. And just have like the town hall kind of equity committee or equity
But
thing.
that's just forming a group of people coming together to talk about a topic.
We're talking about equity.
Yeah, I'm saying what you guys are saying, but I'm saying that this committee would look at policies and procedures. They will look at this restructuring process and making sure that equity is achieved across the district for all students. And in that, once those things are looked at, then that committee will bring recommendations to the board. If it's just people just coming together and talking about equity, yeah, that can be just a townhouse, but town hall meeting. I'm trying to do something that's intentional.
If you would like, we
what's
do
the
have the policy here. It's 4017 temporary board committees. At the request of the board, the president shall appoint temporary committees comprising less than the full membership of special purposes or for special purposes. These committees shall be discharged on the completion of their assignment. The president of the board shall be an ex officio member of any such committee, which is what, again, going back, just reference what we did with the salary review, because that was pretty
But the
significant.
policy doesn't say stakeholders, other groups. That's primarily for board member committees, correct?
Depending on what the purpose is, it would determine that. In the case of that committee, it was representation from the FFNEA as well as administration to make recommendations back to the board. In this case, depending on the special purpose, as it states here, they could be tailored.
Part where I'm kind of hung up on is that normally recommendations are coming from administration to change policies, to change direction, to do something. What this is proposals is for this committee to make the recommendations outside of administration, where the only person that we truly evaluate is through Dr. Davis. So I would think that, if this was something that he was spearheading and overseeing, and then the administration was coming back and making those recommendations. But it sounds like the purpose of this is, to make recommendations and asking us to make changes.
I think when we had the strategic plan development, because we had other stakeholders on that one as well. So I think that was still under the direction of the board.
But that was also under the direction of administration. I mean, we did it but us board members weren't on the committees voting. I mean, we attended the meetings, but that was still being driven by administration.
Because the problem is, once we insert ourselves on committees, we're an equal member, just like anyone else. And then the recommendation would come back to it for the same reason on disciplinary hearings and things. Well, Gary doesn't really get into details with us because then the recommendation ultimately has to come back to us.
My understanding on this one, it's not an insertion.
And then what is the difference from us sitting on the CAC committee or the rest of the committees that we sit on?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think we need board approval for that. He just comes out and says, we want to do an equity committee, and we do the equity committee if that's what he wants. I mean, it's just like a finance committee or a health committee or some other committee.
I guess my question is, are you having an issue with doing the committee?
No.
So
No.
then why we just can't vote on it?
I mean, and it does involve administrators. It gets the community involved, you know. We have students, parents, support staff. I mean, it's everybody. It's a mixture. And I think that's a good thing. And so I don't see any problem with that.
No, I don't either. But what's the structure of it? How many people are on the committee?
She's asking for application people to apply to be selected.
Who's making the selection?
Right. Who's the end goal? What do we change? Are we going through the policy book? I don't care. I mean, that's what we want to do.
If this is a temporary committee, how long is it going to last?
That's another thing. Or is it not temporary? I don't know. The finance and all those committees, health committee, I don't know if that's even around anymore.
I don't think the policy says that it requires action by the board, does it? I mean, can she?
It was mentioned at the previous meeting about bringing something forward for this purpose. So does it necessarily absolutely have to? I can't say that. There is a procedure for temporary board committees, as I read before. So
if I may,
it was
Dr.
under.
Graves, you know, it doesn't look like it requires board action based on what the policy reads to me. I read it before, but I just read it again. And if it doesn't require board action, I'm happy to work at her direction and craft it so that we can have the outcomes laid out. I'll make sure we're clear about it. And then I can bring back, you know, what the goal is of it, the length of it, and make sure we have some parameters in place. Is that fair?
But if I don't need board's approval to do it, then why do we have to do all of that? Why can't I just say, I'm going to start a committee and we're going to do an equity committee? If the board is saying I don't need their approval, I'm just going to start an equity committee and we'll do an equity committee, and then that committee will bring whatever recommendations, and then they can do it during public comment and talk about it, and we'll just go there.
You can't. I mean, we operate as one, as a group. So no individual can go out and kind of do their own thing. Just like I can't go to a school and say, I want you to do this because it's what I want. You know, we only work as a group. Now, if we want to go to Dr. Davis and give him a direction as a group, but that's not what you're asking. You're asking for establishment of committee. You have parameters of who you're looking for. You want an application. They're saying it's a temporary. This doesn't say it's a temporary. Doesn't say who's reviewing the applications or accepting the people. You know, I've said in enough meetings where individuals abstain from voting because they're stating they don't have enough information. And this is an open-ended.
If I may, I just want to read the first part of that policy. At the request of the board. So for board direction, I mean, anything that's going to have the request of the board, it's got to have that direction for the president to go ahead and proceed. So it really does require, as I said, that direction.
But that's not what this says. I mean, this is saying, you know, create an application to do all, you know, so forth. It's different giving direction to administration to go and form an equity committee. Then they go back and they set the parameters and who's going to be attending. And if board members are involved, we don't go in it with the mindset that we're voting members. We go as observers to participate, to bring information back.
That's the reason that the board president under this policy is an ex officio member, because they don't participate. They help facilitate.
Well, it says board members, so plural, so it looks like there'll be more than one person.
As long as
So it would be her and then additional
could be
two. Well,
Could
no, it's saying that is made up of board members. It doesn't say
and
could be.
Does it say anything about other people as well? And that follows that. I don't have that here in front of me.
So when I came up with, when I introduced this, and I actually shared it with Dr. Davis and his cabinet, I actually had a policy that I got from another school district which talked about having 13 members and that Dr. Davis will appoint 3 administrators and things like that. For me to do the work, I needed you guys to give me the guidance to go forth, and that's what I was asking for tonight. And for them to do the work, they need the guidance to go forward.
I'm just unclear of what the work is.
All of the things that you're saying. Oh, how many people are going to do it? Who's going to be the one to read the applications? Who's going to choose which members of it? That's the work. I don't want to put the time in if I come to this meeting and you guys just say, nope, don't do it. I have a lot of other things I can be doing with my time. But right now, you guys, we sat here and did an equity resolution saying that we was going to put equity on the forefront. And only thing we did right now is did the words. To me, this is more action than the words than we have been saying.
I'm so glad you opened that door because I disagree with you completely.
Okay.
The whole purpose of this restructuring was solely based of all the hours we spent in meetings on Saturdays and at night was completely focused on equity. And everybody sitting at this table and Dr. Thurman, who's not here, knows that. The whole purpose of the restructuring was to address equity and figure out how we're going to do it. It's been no surprise from anybody. And I've been out publicly talking about that. So, and we said that when we developed that resolution, that we didn't want just a piece of paper with words. We wanted action. We wanted to see something come to fruition. And it has happened. And that's why we have Dr. Davis has been in sending groups to Washington University. We have consultants. They have meetings about it. I mean, we have addressed this and we're not even done yet. So I don't see, in all the meetings we've been to, at no point did anybody ever bring up saying, hey, we need to have a committee to really take a look at this. It never happened because I'm sure it would have, but it has to come from Dr. Davis. And I have confidence in where we're going. Are we there yet? Absolutely not. Are we making progress? Yes, we are. Yep.
Please go ahead.
I like what you're wanting to do, and I think it is necessary, but I personally would like to see more structure than saying that we've got, I want to know what the committee is going to be doing, what, more in a structured way, not just saying we are going to look at the restructuring and we're going to look at this. And I think that's what, if I heard Dr. Davis right, that's what he was willing to try to bring to us was what this committee or what this group could do. And for me, that's what I need so I can understand.
I'm unclear. Is this more like and I mean this seriously, is this more like, like we after, relationship building and getting to know each other better kind of thing and different voices? Or are we after, something like the last, I have to read it again, the last sentence or something, that it's basically only going to be for restructuring? Or I'm sorry, but I'm serious. I'm just kind of confused about the whole thing. What is the purpose of, are we doing the restructuring or is it about, because Dr. Davis, you said in your remarks about, different perspectives and is that what this is about? Or is it about restructuring or is it? Right. Okay.
A motion is on the table. Connie, can you go ahead and call for the vote?
I'm abstaining.
Mrs. Halted?
I'm abstaining.
Mrs. Ponder? Aye. Secretary votes aye. Mrs. Chabot? Yay. Dr. Green?
Aye. Motion passed. How come it doesn't? 3 ayes and 2 abstain. Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned.